What up, what up, what up? We are in the house, y'all. Ready for another awesome episode. We got weird lighting, but we are here.
Yes,
Ready to
we
rock
are.
and roll. We're trying out these new technological things. So one day we're going to laugh at all this, guys, but
Yes, we
that,
will.
that day is today because we're already laughing, but
Right.
Um, we're gonna laugh with it being in the past because we're in an actual studio, just like rocking it. So yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, you
Hmm.
guys, to welcome back, lovers, to the Way Love Goes podcast. I am your girl, Tierra Monique, and I am joined by my co host with the most from the West Coast,
Dondeez, what's good? What's
Dondeez.
good, everybody?
Hope everyone is having a good day. Today is a different type of podcast. We are recorded today. We are
Hmm.
recording this due to our schedules.
Yeah, we just have
So,
just busy people,
life,
man.
yeah, life happens, and sometimes we can't always do things the way we want them to or the way we used to do them. So today
Hmm.
we are doing them a different way, but thank God for technology that we can record and still give you great, good content and discussions. And you all can participate
Yes,
still in the comment section. So
great,
even though
good
we're not
content and
live,
discussion.
right? Even though we're not live, this you are seeing this live in a way because it's
Sort
gonna
of.
be
It's playing
sort
live
of
for you. It's
it's playing
streaming.
live for you, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Hit that notification bell whenever you see. That way, whenever we upload anything, you'll get the notification
Hmm.
bell. You'll get the notification, and you can tell everybody about us on the Wheel of Ghosts podcast. We are our mission, our goal is to help people grow deeper in love, grow smarter in love, become more healthier in love, because that is the way love goes. Okay,
That's the way it
um, it's the
goes.
way love goes. So we thank you so much for coming to us and
Hmm.
listening to us. And if you are having a great relationship right now, you don't have any problems, guess what? You still can listen and you can share everything that we talk about today with other people. And we don't always talk about problems. We
Yeah,
have
yeah,
some
yeah.
fun stuff. We have some very informative things.
Yeah, we
We
got
don't,
some good stuff today.
yeah, especially today. So, yeah,
Hmm.
so thank you for coming back. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, what's going on with you, my bro?
Yo, just busy doing stuff, man. I'm at my church trying to start a new building project, man. We trying to get
Oh,
some
okay.
renovations,
Hmm.
making it look, I'll be looking at all the nice churches online. I'm like, dude, we should have something like that, we should do
Right.
something nice,
Hmm.
so people feel happy when they come here. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a big old project, but we're starting it now, and yeah, it'll be rocking and rolling. I think I told everybody last week I was so happy I finished my taxes because that was like a big thing on my plate and done with that. And yeah, just having a ball, doing things, just things.
That's
How about
always
you?
good. Me,
Hmm.
this week's been going pretty well. Um,
Hmm.
uh,
It's late, y'all.
I'm
It's
trying to
late.
be like, what do I say? What do I say? I'm excited about this weekend that's coming up. I have a very
Mm.
eventful and fun weekend coming up. So
Hmm.
once it
Hmm.
happens next week, I can come back and give you all some scoop. But as of
Yeah.
right now, I am very excited about this weekend, and um, I'm just feeling pretty good. I'm kind of stuffed right now because I went to a work dinner and it was at an Italian restaurant, and
Hey,
the Italians know how to
they
cook.
know how to stuff you. They
They know
stuff
how
you
to
all
stuff
right.
you up, and you got like good bang for your buck, I guess you can say, because the
Hmm.
portions were huge.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so I did have a a to-go box.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, listen, if you can have a to-go box, that's just double the pleasure, double the
it's
fun.
always fun, right? It's like
Oh yeah.
having two meals at one, at once. So
Right, 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 right,
so
right,
that
right.
was pretty good. That was pretty good. And my son he finally gave me my Valentine's Day gift.
Hey, there you go, there you go.
He didn't have to. I was like, I mean, I don't make my kids give me anything, but I always joke with him because now he's 18. I go,
Oh, you got something
you
on
can
now.
get your mom something.
Yeah, yeah.
So he got me a nice candle from I'm gonna say Bed Bath and Beyond, not Bed Bath and Beyond. What's the other B one? Bath and Body Works.
Bath and Body Works. Oh
Yeah.
yes, my mom loves
So
that place.
yeah, he got
Yeah.
me a nice candle and he got me a nice bag of dark chocolates. I love dark chocolate, so that's my love language is food.
Mm.
So I just that was good. So other than that, I'm chilling, I'm relaxing, I'm sitting here on the floor.
Maxing out cool. Shooting some
Um
b-ball outside of the school.
Ooh, yep, and I got the air pumping because I was having a whole hot flash before we started.
Mm.
So that's still going on, I would say.
Cool
I
on
guess
down.
I don't know if I'm premenopausal or I'm not, but I had an appointment, but my doctor had to cancel and reschedule. So hopefully I'll find out some more information about what's going on with my body as I get older. But I'm like,
I'll send you some wind,
send me some cool air.
some
But this
Cali.
weekend is gonna, yeah, this weekend is gonna cool down pretty good on my neck of the woods. So it's warm this week. I saw in the news that I think across the whole country it's been unseasonably warm. Um, but we're gonna get a nice cool down come Saturday.
Cali been cold, man. I don't know what they trying to
Oh,
do over here.
so it's been
So
unseasonably
I, I'm
cold.
I'm curious. So when if it's cold outside, does that actually cool you down?
Yes. So
Oh,
when it's
okay.
cold out, so like when it's really cold outside, like I'll tell the kids to put their coats on, and they'll go,
Mm-hmm.
"Mom, yeah, put your coat on." Yeah, I said I'm gonna put it on when we get outside, because as
Mm.
soon as I go outside, it's like air conditioning. It's like free air
Oh.
conditioning, and it just cools me down. And then I
Mm-hmm.
get in the car, and then once my body cools down, then it adjusts to the temperature, and I go, "Okay, yeah, I do need a coat." But right away, I don't need a coat. I'm
Mm-hmm.
good. I'm like, okay, I'm good. So yeah,
Gotcha. 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 Gotcha.
yeah, those
All
were
right.
woman issues.
Let me bring the air, shoot it to you. Yeah.
Right, right. So yeah, so that's what's going on with me. But yeah, y'all put in the comment section how is your week going, and
Yeah. Thumbs
women,
up, thumbs
do,
down.
right? Do you suffer from premenopausal in your 40s? And,
This is an
and
infomercial now.
right. And if you're going through menopause right now, tell me how you get through it. So you can help a girl, help a sister out, so I can know
Mhm.
how to get through this. So yeah, we're all doing this together. All right. So
All right.
we got a good one today,
You
y'all.
got a good one.
It's still the month of love,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the relationship podcast. And
Yes,
today we are
indeed.
talking about sex versus intimacy. Do we
Mm-hmm.
need both? Do we need both?
Do we
Do we
need
need
both?
both? Do we need both sex and intimacy? Let's just think about that.
Hmm.
I want to say yes, but I guess we'll find out sooner or later. We did some Q&As
Mm-hmm.
on the gram. I'm gonna try to sound cool. On the gram, we did some Q&As on the gram. And what did you find out on the gram based on your questions that you posted, Mr. D?
Okay, so you know what? I realized I forgot to add one question on there, um, but the two that I did were, do you know the difference between
Uh-huh.
intimacy and sex? And
Yeah.
then the second question was, what is the difference between sex and intimacy? Right? See, I
Right.
switched just the words around, so they thought it was a different question. I tried to trick
Right.
them.
Right.
And I'll give you my top answer. Okay.
Okay.
Um, Sex is physical. Intimacy is a deeper closeness, often emotional. And
Mm.
then that same person also had more to say. So they were like, and to piggyback off that, off my other response, you can have one without the other. So they try to answer our question for us. Say you can have one without the other.
Hmm.
Which one?
Okay.
I wonder. But yeah,
Okay.
that was my top answer that I found on there.
Okay. Okay. So I posted. I think I posted the same question on our podcast
Mhm.
page, and a guy. I'm gonna tell you that I didn't get. I want to say women. No, none of y'all responded to our.
Hey, come on now.
I don't understand. I got
Yeah.
more men responding than I did. I had women.
Ah, okay,
Okay,
okay. We
so
out here.
yeah, we out here. I mean, not we. I'm not a man. Y'all out here.
Yeah,
Which goes to show you that that men do want to talk about these topics. So
yeah,
I think that's pretty interesting.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I had a guy. Same question. What's the difference between sex and intimacy?
Hmm.
And he said intimacy doesn't have to be sexual. Intimacy has different aspects to it. You can have an
Mm,
intimate conversation with someone about finances, spirituality, and so on. So I was like,
mm.
oh,
I
that
didn't know
was
this
a good
stuff.
one.
That was a
That
good
was a
one.
good one. I thought I had another one. Maybe it didn't come through. But I did have a couple of hold on, let me see if I can pull this one up. Is it pulling up for me? I did ask, do you prefer my other question was someone do you know the difference between sex? Do you know the difference between sex versus intimacy? Someone says, yes, sex pleases the body,
Mm.
intimacy intimacy pleases the soul. So I said, okay,
Ooh, bars.
okay. That
Okay,
was good.
we got
That was
bars down
really,
here.
really good.
That is
Um,
good.
and then the other one I posted was do you prefer cuddling over sex?
Ooh.
And one guy said no.
You're like, no.
Nah, give me that sex.
Give me the
Um,
sex stuff.
the other guy said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And and then when I think about it, I should have put why. I didn't put why. Like, do you prefer cuddling over sex
It's
and
like,
why?
yeah, do you
Yeah. I didn't put why, but yeah. So one guy said no, he does not prefer cuddling over sex. He want the sex, and the other
exactly.
guy said yes, he does prefer cuddling over sex, and another guy said it depends on my mood.
True.
Which
If you
yeah,
tired,
yeah,
you're not trying to put in that work at the moment.
right. You're not trying to do that. So I don't
Hmm.
know. I really like the feedback. I like that men were actually responding to this. Um, There were some other ones, but I can't pull them up on my Instagram on my laptop for some reason. I don't know what's going on with Instagram and the laptop, but
Hmm.
we thank y'all for participating in the Q&A,
Yeah,
and
just
we're
keep
gonna
it going. Yeah.
yeah, and we're gonna keep doing that. Every time we have an episode, we want to know your feedback because we're here to help you, and you're here to help us because we don't know
Hmm.
everything
Right.
and y'all know everything. So we're trying to help each other. So on that, do you agree with what they said as far as the difference between sex and intimacy?
Yeah, I think for the most part, I would. I think I would, because
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like intimacy just it's like it's farther. It's more. How do I say it? It's farther reaching than sex, and
Hmm. Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
felt that already, but then after like looking through all the stuff that we did for this
Mhm.
episode,
Right.
I could see it even more. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, this is good. This is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. I do believe that it's funny because I know back in the day we would use it would well, we know that everybody would say intimacy, they automatically think sex.
Yeah,
But
that
to
was
me,
like the code word for it. Yeah.
right. Like, yeah, let's get intimate. Like look, even in society in the world in the retail, when you go to the, you know, bras and panties and briefs and boxers section of the department stores, it would say the intimate section, the intimate section.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that's like the private part, and you automatically think if underwear is intimate, then underwear is section my genitalia, so that means sex.
Yeah.
No, that's not what that means. So,
What? What?
what? But I
Wow.
know that
Do
to
tell.
me, I think that there can be physical intimacy and emotional intimacy. But in this instance, sex is the sexual act of getting close, whereas intimacy is the emotional act of
Mhm.
getting close. That's how I define it. Like you're going to another level on each of those, but it's just finding ways how to get there. And but a
Right,
lot
right,
of
right.
people do confuse the two and think that especially men, I know that a
Mm.
lot of men, when they say, "Oh, you want to go get intimate," and they go, oh, "Okay, let me go
Mm.
ahead."
Right. Whoa, whoa,
How
whoa,
many
whoa. Hold up,
clothes do
pal.
I
Hold
pull
up,
off?
pal.
How many clothes do I pull off? So let's go ahead and get into that. Yeah. So yeah.
How intimate are we getting? Yeah, yeah.
Right. Let's go ahead and get into this. So I found a clip from the How Married Are You podcast with Yvette and Belief. And they were talking about cuddling versus sexual intimacy. Because, like, one of my questions were, do you prefer sex over cuddling?
Hmm.
And some people say yes, some people say no, some people say it all depends on my mood. And I want to go ahead and say this. There's nothing wrong with cuddling, but could you cuddle without having sex? And this is what Yvette and Belief were talking about on their podcast.
Uh-huh,
how
uh-huh, uh-huh.
how how married are you?
Cuddling without sex. How often do you want that?
All the time.
Sex or no sex ratio?
50-50.
So for every time we have sex, we have to cuddle. That's pretty fair.
I think so. I like balance, I love your touch. Sometimes I'm more like,
Yeah.
and you're just like, girl, go somewhere and sit down.
Yeah.
I feel like you holding me is just as intimate as us having sex.
Really?
Even you just holding my hand,
Yeah.
you rubbing my back, like that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't have to be a full-on cuddle session, but there's some times when I'm just kind of like, just touch me, fool. Just touch me.
Why don't you say that?
I don't know.
So I'm just supposed to touch you all the time?
Make me feel irresistible.
So that was really good because that right there touched on what we talked about last week a little bit in regards to how you said that men don't always want sex as a gift for Valentine's Day, right?
Right.
And there are men who want, I know, even though in this video, Yvette's saying that she wants to cuddle more, than sex. But on
Hmm.
the flip side, there are men who want to cuddle more too. They still want to have sex, but they do want that touch portion of it. Like, because sometimes sex can be distant, depending on what position you're in.
Mm.
If you're always, what I'm saying, it's not always like,
Yeah, if you're
you're
not facing, if you're not looking at
right.
each other,
Right.
yeah,
If you're
yeah.
not holding each other, if it's not, I would say if it's not sensual sex, because there's a difference. There's
Hmm.
sensual sex where you're embracing and you're caressing and you're touching, and then there's just
Yeah,
let me get
just
to it.
taking care of business so you can get
Cake,
on
cake,
to
cake,
dinner.
cakes. Let me get
Right.
them hams. Let me get them hams.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
it's just like let's get down to the business type thing. So would you prefer cuddling over sex?
Over sex? Nah.
Okay.
Nah.
Uh-huh.
We can we can do the balance thing, like she was saying.
Right. Uh-huh.
Do the balance thing.
But in right now in your life,
Mm-hmm.
As you get older and as the years add on to your marriage and your relationship with
Mm-hmm.
your wife, do you find that there are times when you would prefer it? Not to say that you don't want the sex, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I look at cuddling as not just, laying on the bed and hold up, but like
Right.
you can substitute cuddling with, like she said, like with hugging or
Yeah.
touching, or is that as important to you as sex, like the touching and the holding and the hugging part?
I'm gonna say probably yes, and I'll probably say I discovered it like unconsciously because, we'll be going about our day just doing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then if she comes and my wife hugs me or rubs my back and she's like, "Hey, how you doing?" It feels nice. It's like, "Oh, that's nice." It wasn't necessarily that I was thinking like, "Man, I wish I really need a hug right now" or anything, but when it
Mm-hmm.
happens when I experience it, it's always like, oh yeah, this is a nice
Mm-hmm.
feeling. It's never like, dude, what do you want? It's
Mm-hmm.
always a welcomed thing. So I'll say yeah, it's very important. Especially if it's to the fact where when it happens, I don't even realize how good it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I know. I like hugs. I like hugs. I think sex is important too, because
Hmm.
sex is more like a, to me, sex is the extreme
The
of,
extreme hug on the spectrum.
right. It's like the extreme orgasm part. It's like that's like the top of the hill, but like at the
Hmm.
bottom, it's like the
Like the
intimacy.
first steps.
Right. The first steps is, to me, the first steps is emotional connection, which is your intimacy. That's going deeper. That's
Hmm.
having
Hmm.
conversations that go below the surface. And then the next level is like the hugging and the touching. And then the next level is like
Hmm.
caressing and getting sensual. And then you start actually kissing. And then it's,
Hmm.
peeing of a vagine and all that good stuff. And then it's like that. And it's like, then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
then it's the top.
Yeah, you arrive at the promised land.
At the
Yeah,
mountaintop.
at the
Um,
mountaintop. Yes.
so I like when it starts at the bottom first. Start at the bottom, now we're here. I like when we start
Yeah.
at the bottom and we can get to the top together. But I like
Right.
cuddle. I like hugs.
Yeah. Hugs can get something going now.
I
Hugs can
love
get
a
something
good
going.
hug. A
Yeah.
good like tight hug when
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's just like, and then a hug that lasts, not a hug
Yeah.
where you pull away right
Not
away.
a church hug. Like,
No,
hey, how you
not
doing?
that.
All right now. Have a good week now.
Right,
Yeah.
that hug when you're like, oh, like, and you don't let each other go. Like you
Yeah.
stand there and you stay there for a little bit, and like
Hmm.
the hug where you're like you're breathing together. Let me
Oh,
look.
there you go. There
It's
you
like you're
go.
like,
Breathing
oh,
together.
you're breathing together and you're hugging, and then you're like, and then you just whisper into each other's ear, I love you, or I miss you, or I
Hmm.
needed this, or I appreciate you. Like that type of intimacy, I
Yes.
think that's like, I think that's needed. I think a lot. I was going to do a podcast. I was going to do a podcast episode
Hmm.
years ago called "Hugs Over Sex" because
Hugs over sex. Okay.
I thought that it was very. I think that so many couples, they just bypass that part. They just go
Mm,
straight to the sex. And I think it's very important to connect with each other on the hug level. Like
yeah.
just come hug me. Just come get close to me. Let's become close. Let's get close to the point where I can hear your heartbeat. Like, I mean, a lot of women like to be able to put their head on their guy's chest and just like listen to their heartbeats like that.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm there. I'm like, oh, let me just hug you. Let me hug you. And then, like you said, hugs lead to kissing, leads
Hmm.
to heavy touching and rubbing and stuff like that, and then it leads to sex. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's
Yeah.
where
Or it
I'm
can
at with
it
it.
can lead to, let me not be all one dimensional. It can also lead to good conversations,
Yes,
good check-ins,
yes,
you know, um,
yes.
sometimes where you have, because like, you'll be like just in the groove, both you and your partner just in the
Right,
groove and you're just going. And then when you connect like that, it's like, oh, we need to check in and see what's going on, you
right,
know?
right.
So yeah, it's
Exactly,
good. It's good.
exactly.
It's good.
So based on the questions that we asked, there was a mixture of. Oh, did we define intimacy? We did define intimacy, right? Or no? We did.
Kind of through just discussion here, or we're like we got people's
Did you
answers. I
have
don't know if
Did
there's
you
like a
have an actual
clinical one.
definition?
You know what? I found one that I liked
Okay.
on this article. This article is called FamilyInstitute.com,
Mm-hmm.
and it had this definition. It says research evidence tells us that the presence of intimacy in our lives, feeling understood, accepted, and cared for, strongly
Mm,
influences our overall physical and emotional well-being. So
right.
their definition, I really liked it. Feeling understood, feeling accepted, feeling cared for. I like
Right.
that as a definition to go off of, because
That's
that
good.
takes into account a lot of different aspects that you put towards your
Right.
partner. Yeah.
Right. 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 And we all know what sex is, so we don't have to define that. Unless you don't know what sex is and you never had sex, you never heard of sex, I can go ahead and
Mhm.
just say that sex is there's sexual intercourse,
Yeah.
people. If you don't know, that's the pee and the vagine. That's where the genitals meet up and have a party. And then you have and
Hmm.
then you have, I mean, people have oral sex, and that's where your mouth meets up with the genitals and have a party. So we know that's what sex is. Sex is the physical part
Yeah.
of it. So, and then D just gave us a definition
Hmm.
of the intimacy part of it, which is, I
Yeah.
believe, is deeper and very necessary. So we talked a little bit about this. Do men prefer sex over intimacy? Some of our guys says yes. Some of our guys says no. I found this article on marriage.com that said why intimacy is different for men and women. And we all know that women, crave intimacy, and then the opposite is that men crave sexual intimacy. So women
Mm.
crave emotional intimacy because we like to talk. We like to, what are you thinking? Are you thinking about me? Am I in your future? You're like, we always want to know what our guy is thinking about and what
Hmm.
his dreams and his goals are and how he's feeling. And if you're not asking those questions to your boo thing, please do, because like Dee said in last week's episode, men don't always want sex. That's not something that they always want. They like it, they want it, but not always. And I
Hmm.
think that, these are some key points to know about men. So I wanted to point out some things that I thought was really good to point out about men when it comes to intimacy. Well, sexual intimacy. It says
Hmm.
4 basic need to know truths about men and intimacy. When it comes to sexual intimacy. Men are visual creatures, it says. Number 1, visual. Men are visual. And it says, this article said, men, they want you to keep the lights on during the sex.
Oh yeah.
They said, don't turn off the lights. Do not do what Teddy P said. Teddy P said, turn them off.
Turn off the lights.
He said, turn them off.
Right.
Teddy,
Right.
no. This article says, do not turn off the lights. He said, men want you to keep the lights on because they want to see you. They chose you. They love you. They love who you are. They love your body.
Hmm.
Um, they want to see you. They want to see your body. So don't turn off the lights. That
Right.
keeps the man going. And tell me as I go if you agree or disagree, because you are the man, I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, the next one, number 2, is men need respect. It says when a man feels heard and respected, he is more apt to be physically intimate. And I put he's more apt to be emotionally intimate too. Because I believe that if a man is respected, if he's seen and he's heard, then he's more willing to open up to you because he feels like you're a safe space for him. Because you
Mm,
respect him. You see who he is and you respect him as a man. Do you agree?
yeah,
You agree
yeah.
with that
I
too?
would definitely say that, man. Those are like it's that's motivation. Like if you've shown me respect, now I'm very appreciative of whatever you want. Basically, that's like the
Right.
way to be like, hey, okay, well, shoot, what you want? What can I do for you? You're
Right.
doing this for me. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
number three is they want and need you. They need you to initiate the sex. Do
Yeah,
not wait.
sometimes.
Do
Sheesh.
not wait for your man, your husband, your boo to initiate the sex. Men want to feel wanted. And if they are the ones who are always initiating the sex, then how are they going to feel wanted? Just because you lay down and say, okay, go ahead, does not make them feel wanted. It's like, okay, I mean, go ahead. I guess you have to. That's not what they want. They want you to walk up to them and go, hey, you ready?
Yeah, 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 man.
You ready to ride this train? I
Let's
mean,
go. Let's go. Yeah.
right. Come on and get on this caboose.
Let's
Men
go.
want to feel wanted. You agree,
Right.
right?
I definitely agree, man. Because, I always am thinking, like, man, do I feel like possibly being rejected? And that's usually, not usually, but sometimes that is the factor. I'm like, okay, do I feel like I'll be okay if I get a no?
Right.
But when the lady, when she initiates it, man, that's good. That's
Right.
good.
Right. Right. And then number four, it says men crave sexual intimacy. And I touched on that right before I started talking. But men do crave sexual intimacy. It's in their nature. It's in their nature to
Mm,
crave it, just like it's in our nature to crave communication and to talk with our partner. It's in your nature to crave sexual intimacy. Not to say that women don't crave it too. We do. We have our times when we crave it as well. There's some women who have very high libido and some women who have low libido. But
mhm,
but for a man in his nature, he craves sexual intimacy. And so just know that and this article was from marriage.com. So just know
mhm.
that your husband needs you to fulfill him sexually as well as emotionally, but just know that he also needs it sexually. Um, so that was that for that one. And that
Oh
was from
yeah.
marriage.com. If you want to know more about the article, it was called Why Intimacy is Different for Men and Women, and that was on marriage.com. I know you found some stuff too, right?
Yeah, that
About
that that, that was good.
you found out how intimacy and sex can be good for our health, right? You got some stuff about that?
Yeah. So that, yeah, some real general stuff. Um, there was an article that we looked at called, I was off of everydayhealth.com, and it was an article was called "What is the role of intimacy and sex in your overall health, my people?" And so there was one kind of like big point that they made, which is that even without sex, intimacy can provide many physical and mental health benefits. There has to be an evolutionary reason why people maintain paired bonding and
Mm-hmm.
intimacy when there is no sex involved. Indeed, we have found that there are biological advantages of being a dyad over an individual. I mean, that's I don't want to say that's obvious because we had to get there scientifically somehow, I
Right.
suppose.
Hmm. Right.
But yeah, it's just like, I mean, that's in the Bible. Two chords is better than one. And
Right.
so it's there. But one point that the article made I thought was really good is, as your relationship increases, as you know, longevity of your relationship comes, and as your age increases, your your sexual frequency may decrease, but your
Mm-hmm.
intimacy may increase
Right.
at the same time, which is still good because of the fact that intimacy is the thing that gives you the health benefits, even more so than just sex. But some of those like big ideas there is that intimacy uh, reduces your stress and helps your body function better. I mean, like stuff like your, you know, your blood pressure and your immune
Right.
system. It helps them things out.
Right.
Intimacy helps with that. It fights against loneliness, which, you know, this is the thing about loneliness. Like people used to think of loneliness as like, okay, I guess that's a feeling or whatever, but nobody thinks about the clinical impact that that has on you, or like the biological impact
Right.
that loneliness has on you. So
Right.
intimacy fights against that, and
Right.
actually fights against the risk of mortality. Like this thing be helping you stay alive, like
Right.
literally, you know,
Right.
as well as gives you better mental health, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keeps you strong, keeps you engaged, keeps you in a more positive state instead of down in the dumps. And then, of course, it gives you the better to sex life. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. You know, everything getting better, everything. So those were like the main the main things
Right.
in the article. Everything gets better. Like I've
Right.
never seen or read any studies where it says intimacy is terrible.
Right.
Intimacy is actually not good for you. You
Right.
know, so yeah, man, you got to get that intimacy popping off so you can get your life together. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Exactly.
You know
Exactly.
what I'm
And
saying?
that statement that you read, it speaks to the fact that that's why you see so many marriages, so many couples who were together for so long and now they're in their 80s and they're
Mm-hmm.
still together, and they're not having the sex. They're not having it.
Yeah.
So, but what has made it last is the intimacy.
Yeah.
It's the emotional intimacy. It's the oneness that they created with each other. It's actually enjoying each other and having conversations and talking to each other and listening to each other. Now every conversation doesn't have to be so deep you can't get out of it. Like where
Right. Right.
you're sad or whatever. But it can just be, to me, I think it's just on different levels based on what you're talking about or based on what's going on in your life or based on whatever season you're going through in your marriage and your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that article basically shows us, and it's proven fact that you don't have to have sex to become one with someone. It's basically, yeah. It doesn't. It's like you can't. Oh, we got to have sex right now in order
Right.
us to bond. Sex is a part of it, but you need the intimacy as well. You need that as well to create that stronger bond. Because when you get to if you don't build that bond through emotional intimacy, once you're no longer able to have sex anymore, then what do you have
Yeah.
if you
What do
don't
you
have
mean?
that bond? Like, what do you have? So I think that was a really, 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 really good article, and the
Yeah. If you
fact that
can't,
they pointed that out for us.
if you can't talk to your partner. I forgot, man. I saw this. I don't know where it was. It was a while ago. I
Uh
think it
huh.
was some YouTube clip,
Mhm.
and it was this couple. This guy was talking to the therapist, and he was like, "Yeah, we hung out all weekend, and
Mhm.
we had a lot of sex." And he was like thinking this was good, and the
Right.
therapist was like, "Well, let me
Right.
just throw something else in the mix for you. You guys might be using sex as a substitute for just boredom
Yep.
and
Yep. Yep.
just awkwardness, and
Yep.
you might have actually missed some opportunities in that weekend hanging out together where you
Right.
just had a bunch of sex and thought you were, I don't know, I guess you thought you were connecting, but you know
You just
after
had
a little
sex.
while you
Right.
just were just going through the motions.
Right.
So you gotta mix it up, man. All right.
Right.
It's like a salad,
Absolutely.
man. You can't just have lettuce all the time. You have to put your walnuts in there. You got to put your tomatoes and
Cranberries.
your cranberries. You know, you get the nice little dressing. You know, you got to have layers and flavors.
Right. Your
You know,
pineapples. I put
right?
pineapple in mine.
Pineapples. Yeah. See, you gotta spice it up. You
Yeah,
know,
spice it up.
a lettuce salad. Ah, come on.
Who wants that? That's so boring.
Yeah, you know.
Only who is that? Rabbits eat that.
Yeah, yeah, we're not rabbits, and rabbits be pounding it out just like that.
Right.
They just get it in, keep it moving.
And
Get it
pounce.
in, keep it moving. Yeah,
Right.
no,
We're not rabbit.
we're not
We're not
rabbits.
rabbit. We're
We
not
gotta have
rabbit.
some layers to this
Right.
thing. You dig?
Absolutely. You dig? So what how do we talk to our partner about sex and intimacy? Like how can we
Yo,
have these conversations?
okay, so got some suggestions for y'all.
Uh-huh.
Some good old key points that I want to bring up here. Think of intimacy as like a boost or like a booster, like an enhancer, right? Like whatever you're doing, like intimacy can make it better. So even when it comes to sex, you could have better sex if you're intimate. It makes
Right.
for and so here's how you build it up. We were checking out another article, 9 questions to ask your partner about sex and intimacy. Right, this is
Mhm.
not like interview questions, but this is like a whole. It's like a whole process, right? It's like a whole.
Right.
It's like a whole vibe. You're like setting it up. So
Right.
what they talked about was something called um, think about yourself, think about intimacy as the connections that you're making. There are ways to create connections and ways to destroy connections that happen outside of the bedroom, right? So it's not
Mhm.
about laying down and just connecting physically like that, but
Right.
all the actions and practices that you do in your relationship, they can either create connection or they can actually work against and destroy the connection that's happening.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's actually good if we can find ways to plan to talk about intimacy and sex. Like
Okay.
actually plan a special date
Right.
for the purpose of talking about and conversing about sex and intimacy. Um, they use this term that I thought was really cool: rituals of connection. It's like,
Hmm.
every family has their traditions, and every group sort of has like their own special stuff that they do that is unique practices to them. So in your relationship, you also can create these rituals of connections, things that maybe for other people is not necessarily a big deal, or it doesn't
Mhm.
have the significance, but in your with your partner, these things are like symbolically great. And research shows that couples who talk openly about sex have more of it.
Oh.
And bonus note from the research, women who talk about it have more, they get to the promised land better and more often. They get there. They can get there. So this, what you got going on here, is a win-win situation, right? I'm talking sort of code because I hear my kids walking
Right.
around, so I
I
got
got you.
whatever.
Yeah.
But what you got here is a win-win situation. So if you're talking about this more, you're having it more. Plus you have and plus the ladies that talk about it more, they get to educate their men, and so they get to the promised land a lot
Right.
more. Oh, and this is a little bonus thing that it would make me think about when I was reading this. So I saw this. I like to be educational, right? We were talking
Yes.
before
Yes.
about
Yes.
porn and all of that, but
Right.
there are erotic videos that you can watch that are not pornography based.
Right.
They are like trying to help you uh, improve your sexual life. And so I saw this video once, and it was interesting because it was two sex coaches, and they were making love, but
Mm-hmm.
they were like coaching each other through it. Like they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, that's good. Let's get a little bit more of this." And the lady would go,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, I like that." So what it was interesting because it made me think like, okay, so sometimes you can have like an educational uh lovemaking session with your partner, right? It's like almost
Yeah.
like training. Like think of it as
Right.
training, right? We
Right.
don't go in and practice. So you
Right.
actually it's like fun because you are getting to engage, but
Right.
because you have the understanding of this is a learning process. It doesn't feel like your partner is like telling you what to do. You're like actually learning, like, oh, you like this?
Right.
Yeah, oh, that's good. Or like, nah, like a little more like this, a little more of this, like that. Oh, that's it. And if you normalize things like that, then it's going to be better because the whole idea of this, some people it comes naturally. You can
Right.
just talk and it's just natural. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's just like really awkward to talk about it because that's just not the way our mind is set. Like let's explain, let's discuss, all of those kind of things. But I have
Right.
found in my own relationship, like if my wife asks me, "Oh, what do you like?" or if I ask her, "What do you like?"
Mhm.
then it actually improves the whole situation.
Mhm.
But you got to do it. You got to do it. The
Yeah.
bravery is in just jumping in there and do it. There's no right, there's no wrong way. And as a matter of fact, part of your discussion can actually be this is sort of weird for me to talk about. And
Mhm.
here's why. And that begins to open up what's
Right.
going on as
Right.
well.
Right.
So yeah, so like literally you can plan a date to talk about this, and your
Right.
planning should be intentional. Like think about the place where you're going to go. Like
Right.
you want to go to a nice restaurant where you can be in the corner and you just have a good meal and talk about it. You want to go have a nice little intimate picnic where it's
Mhm.
relaxed vibe, setting something like that. And
Right.
then this is something I never thought about. um they were suggesting to get like kind of like get in your body. So like even before you have your dinner where you're going to talk and discuss, go do something physical like dance or have a
Right.
stretching session or like a
Mhm.
yoga session, like where you actually kind of like are in your mind and your body and you're in tune with that. And then that's part of what you get into. So
Right.
I don't know. What do you think about all that? You think that's good stuff? Anything you would add in there, or
I
what do
think
you
it's
think?
really good stuff. I think the issue is that from our culture, like the faith culture,
Hmm.
um, they didn't talk about it at all. It was all
Right.
about, be submissive and, don't hold back from each other unless you mutually agree, unless you're fasting. But there
Hmm.
were no conversations about how to be married.
Mm.
It was all the conversations were just how to follow what the Bible say in regards
Hmm.
to submission and respect and honoring each other. But outside of all of that, it's like, how do you navigate sex and intimacy? And
Yeah.
now there have been some progressive pastors who are stepping out and like talking about it.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, for example, we have our video of the week is going to have Tim Ross, and he's like really been out here talking about it. He's not the first, but right now the spotlight is on him, and I think it's very important. I know for
Hmm.
me, I think it's very important to have these conversations when you're dating someone, like exclusively.
Hmm.
Um, um, and to know that you're not talking about these, you're not having this discussion so that you can go and have sex right away. It's just like
Yeah.
once you get into the point where okay, you're starting to see this person as someone's going to be in your life forever, permanently. Um, you need to have these conversations. I don't have a problem with having conversations about sex. I'm not having conversations about, oh, this is how I want you to do it to me. It's like
Yeah.
more like it's like a thing, okay, I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like this. And those conversations usually don't happen until later, but sometimes they happen early if someone, opens up the door. But
Right.
you just have to frame it so that you're not getting too explicit too soon. But I think, especially in marriages, it's very important to have these conversations because you're not going to know what your partner likes unless they tell you.
Right.
And they're not going to know
Or
what
what
you
they
like.
hate.
right, or what they hate. And they're
Yeah.
not going to know what you like unless you tell them. And I think it's crazy how sometimes more people on the outside of our relationships know more about us intimately than the people
Mm,
that we're actually partnered with. And it's like my girlfriend shouldn't know that I like, whatever, because women will talk about these things very detailed than men. Of course, men ain't,
mm,
saying all this, but you can kind of gauge sometimes. I mean, I've been in circles where I've seen men have sex conversations with their guy friends, but in a way where it's like they're talking about something they saw on TV or whatever. Oh yeah, man,
mm.
or whatever. But tell your woman what you want. Tell your man what
Yeah.
you want and what you like and what you don't like, and create these spaces that are so safe that you don't. It's an open door policy in a sense where it's like, okay, whatever you say, it's not going to leave this room,
Yeah.
and you can trust me, and I'm here to listen to you. I'm here
Yeah.
to
And I'm
hear what
not
you
gonna
like.
bring it up in
I'm
an
not going to bring
argument
it up
later
later on.
when I'm mad at you.
Right, especially because I think a lot of things that I think there are a lot of men who want to explore other parts of sex, but
Hmm.
they're afraid to because of the stigma that whatever that is has on it. If you
Yeah.
get my drift.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like men have been taught that they have to be like this caveman, I am man, hear me roar, and
Mm,
they don't have a soft side. And there are men who have a soft. There are men who want to be massaged. There are men who want to
mm.
be caressed. There are men who want to be touched in a way that's not always, let's get it
It's like
in.
forceful. Yeah.
Right, forceful. They're just because a man wants to be touched in a nice and sensual way does not mean that he's soft or
Hmm.
he's less than a man. It just means that he's a human being and this is what he likes. This is
Yeah.
like it's how he likes to be catered. Like, there was a clip of that I saw. I wish I had remembered to put it in, but it was a guy. He was getting pampered by his woman. Like he had came
Oh
home
yes, I
he
seen
had
that.
came
Yes.
home from a long day, and she was basically his nail person that day. She did his
Hmm.
feet, she cleaned his toes, she cut his toenails, she did all of that good stuff, and she was catering to him. And men like that. Like, men like going to get men like to if your man likes to go get pampered at a nail salon getting his feet done, that means he likes to be touched on his foot. And that means
Yeah.
that means that you need to be the one touching him. He should not be going down to Nails R Us all the time to be getting his feet done because that's how he likes to be touched. It's a pamper. You should be doing that for him, and vice
True.
versa. I think it's all about creating a space where you all are meeting each other's needs
Yeah.
all the time, and when the needs are not being met, you're speaking up about it in a nice way, in a respectful
Hmm.
way, and say, hey, I didn't like when you did this, or you haven't done this to me in a while, or you haven't touched me, you haven't kissed me, you haven't told me you love me. But I totally agree with that article. I agree with everything you said,
Yeah.
about how people should be talking about what they want and what they don't want in sex,
Yeah.
because we can't just assume that um
Yeah.
just because a lot of people have been having sex the wrong way with the wrong people for a long time, and then when they get with somebody who is the right person for them, they're still trying to have sex the way they had sex with the other people, and it
Messing it
was
up.
wrong. So you can't do that. You have to learn. When you have this person in front of you, they are not like anybody else, and you're not like
Hmm.
anybody else. So you have to then come to the point to where you are committed to learning each other, not only emotionally, but learning each other physically, like learning each other's body and
Hmm.
what it takes to satisfy them. So I agree.
Yeah. So let me read off the questions because I know everybody's like,
Oh,
you
okay,
you
okay.
said there was 9 questions. And what are the questions?
Oh,
So yeah, let me just read them off real quick
okay.
for you, and y'all take the ones that work well for you. All right. Here's
All
the
right.
first one. Think about all the times that we've had sex. What are some of your favorites and what made those times special? All right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Another one. What turns you on? Simple.
What turns you on?
How can I enhance our passion? How can I enhance our passion?
Right.
You might want to say it in your own words, but if you say it like that, they might still answer. What's your favorite way for me to let you know I want to have sex? That's a good one. That's a good one. What's your favorite way for me to let you know what's good and what's going on? It's time to get it cracking, my boy. Um, Another one. Where and how do you like to be touched? Where and how do you like to be touched? Another one. What's your favorite time to make love and why? What's your favorite position and why? Another one. What is something you've always wanted to try? All right, and be careful in that one, but let them know. Another one. How often would you like to have sex? I think we talked about that back in the day a while ago, but yo, put it out there, man. 3 times a week, once a month. What? Well, hopefully it's more than once a month, but you get it out there. All right, and then the last final question: what can I do to make our sex life better? What can I do to make our sex life better? You know. And if you're both asking each other these questions, if you're both like, all right, let's work on this thing, it ain't gonna do nothing but get better and better and better and rise and rise. And y'all be like reaching heights that you don't know. You'll be at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Mm-hmm. 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 You know what? I just thought about an idea when you were talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think a way to introduce these questions and even more questions into the relationship is to write these questions down on a piece of
Mm-hmm.
paper and put them in a jar.
Mm.
Like put them in a little jar that's in your room by the bed, and once a week, y'all
Mm.
y'all each pull out a question. So you don't know what the question is, you just pull it out and then you ask the question, and then it like opens up the dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
and so you ask the question, they ask the question, or you just oh, it's your turn to pick a question, and you just pick one question and y'all tackle that one question that night. And then because it's like once you start having those, once you if I say, okay, oh, go ahead and pick a question. I pick out the question. It says, hey, what turns you on? And then we're
Mm-hmm.
having that, and so I ask that question to you, and then you ask that question to me, and now we're
Mm-hmm.
having a dialogue, and we're doing it right before we go to bed. I mean, we just opened up
Yeah.
something, we just
Yeah.
lit a
Nah.
fire. It's like the questions are lighting a fire in you, and it's like it's
Right.
igniting something. Either it's igniting it or reigniting it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's. I think it gets you to focus on each other, because
Yeah.
we have so many things going on. We got the kids, we got work, we got all these deadlines we have to meet, do, and everything outside going on. We even have our own stuff going on as human beings, as our own persons, and then right before we go to bed,
Mm-hmm.
whatever day you choose, it's like, okay, it's Wednesday. It's your turn to pick a question. And then you have the question, and then it's like, oh, now we get to focus on each other, and we can have this conversation. And now, we about to go to bed, and we about to do some things,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
you
right.
know, that might be it, it might not be it, but still, at least you're having the dialogue and you're having the
Mm-hmm.
conversation. And I think it's creating a bond with you two, because you're not choosing to have these conversations with people outside of your relationship. I think that's a
Right.
very important thing. You're not choosing to have these conversations outside the relationship. You're saying this conversation, this is important between me and my person, me and my
Right.
partner, me and my husband, me and my wife, and nobody else. So I think that's good. So y'all do
Yeah,
that. Let
good.
me know in the comment section if you think that's a good idea. If you're gonna go ahead and implement that into your relationship, or you're gonna go ahead and pin that, and when you get in a relationship, you're gonna do that. Or when you get married, you're
Yeah.
gonna do that. So good stuff.
I need to start
So
that now. Yeah.
that's really good, y'all. Do that. So, um, have I had experience in intimacy? Yes, I was married before.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think like, I was, I was married before, and I think that we did have conversations, but when I think about it, I think we had conversations too late.
Mm.
Well, I would say I made the conversation too late. Whereas we didn't talk about what we liked and what we didn't like
Uh-huh.
often enough, like that we should have, you know. It was more like, okay, I think for me, I was I was in that church mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't just say mindset. I think I was in that mindset that I saw on movies and TV shows that the guy is supposed to automatically know what I need. Like
Mm.
my husband's already gonna know what I need, so I don't have to tell him. And then
Mm.
I may tell him later on if he keeps doing something wrong over and over again, then I'll go, no, don't do that, don't do it. But if I say it, I'm saying it in a more like ugh, don't do that. Like I'm not saying it in a nice way or a
Yeah.
constructive way. I'm saying in a like a how dare you or why are you doing that or shouldn't you know type of tone.
Mm-hmm.
And that was wrong, all the way wrong. And I think a lot of women who are in this category with me, we were just conditioned that our man is supposed to already know what to do
Mm.
and we don't have to tell them. But the truth is that he doesn't know just like you don't know. And you only know by communicating.
Right.
Um so I yeah. So but as I learn as the years go past, I learned that it's important to have these conversations. It's important to recognize how intimacy is very important with sex and they go hand in hand. One isn't more important than
Mm-hmm.
the other. They're both very valuable. And I think the emotional intimacy part of it just leads to like we said earlier, better sex. It just leads to a better
Yeah.
sex. It leads to a better bond with you. And I had wrote down that intimacy is learning more about your partner on a deeper level, emotionally and physically. So you have your
Mm.
emotional intimacy and your physical intimacy, and the more and more you uncover a person and learn about them, the more and more you get deep. It's like I think we're all onions. I look at us as all onions, and like we just gotta
Mm.
keep peeling back that layer until we get down to the core. And you're never ever gonna get down to that nugget. I don't.
Right. Right.
People think you're gonna know somebody all the way, but you're not because we change all the time. We're
Mm-hmm.
we we're human beings, and so we change all the time because what we used to like yesterday may not be what we like today. No, yesterday's like is not today's like.
That's right. That's right. You got new layers forming all the time.
All the time growing back like a what is that, a salamander, the one, what is that animal where you cut the tail off and it grows back?
Oh yeah, all or a lot of the lizards. Yeah.
The lizards, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
cut their tail off and it grows back. And that's how it is with us. Like we cut off, we'll stop liking something and then something else new will grow into that part. And
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
accepting your partner every time something new grows because you're learning something new about them and it's vice versa. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what about your experience with intimacy
Oh yeah.
and
So
sex?
I was trying to think about this too because I was like, man, this isn't even something I really used to think about. That's why this podcast is helping us because it's making me think about these things more. So as I was thinking about it and like looking at all the articles and everything that we looked at,
Uh-huh.
I came to this conclusion that there's the sex of sex and
Right.
there's the intimacy of sex. Right.
Okay.
So over the years, I kind of discovered that, there's parts of your sex life with your partner that are not actually sexual. right?
Right.
The
Uh-huh.
they're more intimate instead. So it's like
Right.
the conversations that you have about sex, the consideration of meeting your partner's needs, right? It's intimacy that enhances the sexy part of sex, I guess.
Right.
So I think it's good for couples to appreciate both aspects of that and recognize that, yeah, you might be, like, for example, like I said, there was a video where the the two intimacy coaches were literally making love and coaching each other at the same time. That was like
Right.
two aspects of that experience happening at the
Right.
same time. So it's like
Right.
appreciate both of those things, whether you do it together or
Mhm.
whether you're doing it at the same time or you're
Right.
making special time to have your conversations and whatnot.
Mhm.
Recognize the importance and appreciate both aspects of it. That's kind of where I'm at, and that's going to be my own personal goal in my relationship, to be more intentional about having the conversations, appreciating that portion of it, seeing how it can enhance the physical parts of it. So yeah, that's where
That's
I'm at.
really good. That's really, really, really good. And before I say something else, 'cause I'm like, oh, something else popped in my head. I'm gonna go ahead and do our video of the week.
Yeah,
Before I
yeah,
say it, so I'm like, if I say it, I'm gonna keep going. So our
yeah,
video is video of the week time.
yeah.
So our video of the week comes from Tim Ross, former pastor of Embassy City. And
Full-time
here it
podcaster.
full-time podcaster of The Basement, and he
Thank
was on another podcast called Initiate something. You can see it when it comes up. I'm sorry.
you.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry to the people on this podcast. But here we go.
Everything you found out up to that wedding day is just what got you to the altar. Everything you about to say I do to is what you don't know. So this is why more than 50% of the marriages end in divorce, because they have no idea that the commitment they're making is not to what they do know about this person. It's what they don't know about this person.
Damn.
Dang.
Wasn't that good?
That's a truth bomb right there. Just
Boosh. If I
Hiroshima.
had the effects, I think the podcast said Hardly Initiated was the name of the
Mhm.
podcast. Hardly Initiated, and Tim Ross was on that podcast, but he has his own podcast called The Basement. But
Mhm.
that was really good because
That was
it
fire.
flows into what we're talking about, because what you think you don't know.
Right,
And
right.
you don't know until you have the conversation. And I think sometimes we also, to piggyback when I said about the church, how the church, kind of conditioned us to think a certain way. I think our families did too. So if you grew up in a home where your mom and your dad, you never saw them, of course you didn't never see them have sex. I'm not saying that, but you never
Right,
saw
right, right.
them be close. If
Mhm.
you always saw mom just cooking and taking care of dad and dad just going to work, then you don't see how intimacy can really change a relationship.
Right.
You don't see your mom and your dad sitting on the couch, cuddled up, watching TV while y'all off in the room doing whatever. You're not seeing that. And because you don't see it, you may have the thinking that, oh well, my mom didn't do that, or my dad didn't do that, so why we gotta do it? And the thing about it is that you're not in your mom and your dad's relationship. You're in your own relationship. And
Yeah.
like you said, what you don't know is going to hurt you. And so sometimes we think we know everything about a person when we say I do, but we don't, because we are ever changing every day. And you have to commit to learn your person every day. It doesn't stop when you say I do. It keeps
Mm.
going. You have to keep, it's like
Mm.
with any job. When you have a job, your job, you have to keep learning. I know, like with teachers, they have a thing called continuing education units or whatever. They have to go they have to go and take these classes and redo their certification. I know from my job, we're learning all the time. There's new rules, medical rules all the time going on behind the scenes in the insurance world. And we have to learn these things all the time because things are always changing. And when we learn these things, we get better in our own jobs. And just like in our marriages and our relationships, when we're constantly learning each other, we get better as a couple because we are not thinking that everything I knew before is who you are. And it's like, no, I'm a different
Right.
person. I'm not the same person. Especially if you've been with if you want to be with somebody forever, they are not going to be the same person that you marry.
Right. Facts.
They are going to change. Not only is their physical appearance going to change, but what they like and what they don't like, how they feel, how they don't feel, what they like in the bedroom and what they don't like in the bedroom is going to change. That's why I think that these questions, if you can afford a couple therapist right now, these questions that D had gave us, I think starts the process because it allows you to, start the therapy process together on your own. And then when you can't afford it, you go ahead and jump into it and let your therapist know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. All the help, all the effort, like it's kind of like so when it like in scripture it talks about, okay, God's word never comes back void. If it's
Right.
energy put forward to putting it out there, it always produces. I think it's the same thing with your relationship. If you put energy, if both people are putting energy and effort to it, it always produces something, and it's usually going to progress the relationship instead of or make it grow stronger rather than pull it apart. If your mindset is, hey man, I'm gonna pour in, and your partner's mindset is, hey, I'm gonna pour in, then
Right.
that's it's gonna fill up. So
Right.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that for sure. Without a doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you have a scripture that ties into what we were talking about today.
Oh yes. Oh
Scripture
yes.
time. Scripture time.
Scripture time, folks. This one is from Proverbs. It's the crazy thing. You were talking about like how the Bible talks about sex and intimacy. Like 90% of the verses are like, "Do not do this.
Mhm.
It will
Right.
cause your body to be. You will condemn yourself to hell." But
Right.
there are some ones that uplift it. So this was a good one. It says, it's Proverbs 5:18-19 says, let your fountain be blessed. Come on. And rejoice in the wife of your youth. A lovely deer, a graceful doe, let her breast fill you at all times with delight. I love this line, be intoxicated always in her
Always.
love. I love that language. Be intoxicated. That means you have consumed it so much it is now consuming you. So get that's intimacy right there.
Absolutely. That's intimacy. We should be getting like Beyonce, drunk in love.
Yeah. Come on now. Come on now.
We, we ain't go
Take it to
ahead.
Tony Braxton. Get so high when
Right.
I'm around you, baby.
Yes. We need to go ahead and let these prophetesses
Touch the
speak to us.
sky. Yes. That's right. That's right, man. Like the songwriter says.
Like the songwriter says,
Exactly.
we be all night in love.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and
Surfboard.
and some of y'all need
Surfboard.
to be playing some music. I think you get so caught up and what you think God is gonna condemn me if I listen to this. If you're
Mm.
listening to these songs to bring your marriage together, hey, nothing
God is
wrong
the
with that.
author of love, man. God
Right,
owns all the good love.
right.
Yeah.
So let these prophetess and prophets speak to you in your bedroom.
Yes, that's right. Bishop Beyonce.
Bishop
B-
Beyonce.
Bishop Braxton.
I know
Yes.
that's right. Come on
Hmm.
now. Y'all know y'all not listening to Rough Side of the Mountain.
That's right. Come on. That's not where you want to be. You want to do your best to make it in. Somebody else. Get up to Kilimanjaro.
Right.
That's
Oh
right. That's
God.
right.
That's so funny. All
Hmm.
right. So our quote is quote this. Intimacy is the capacity to be rather weird with someone and
Mm,
finding that it's okay with them. That's by
yes.
Elaine D. Bolton. I think
Good
that's
word
so
today.
true that intimacy is the capacity to be rather weird with someone. Because sometimes people don't want to. That's what some people don't want to open up. They like to stay on the surface because they're not sure if that person is going to accept them outside of what they think they are. You know, if like that happens every time when like you meet someone. Like I know for me, whenever I would meet someone, and if I held their physical appearance in like a high regard or whatever, like on a high level, whatever, and I think they're just like so like put together, and then you find out that you like what, and you like what, you're like, oh, okay, so it's like you
You like
automatically
watching
think
My Little Ponies? What? You're a
that's a
brony? What?
right, yeah, that's when I'm going to exit stage left.
Oh, yeah,
No
that's a
bronies.
little much. That is.
But I think that we think that people are going to reject us, so we don't try to get intimate. Because to me, intimacy is another way of saying we need to be. Let's get vulnerable with each other. You know, let's be vulnerable. Let's let down the guard. Let's go deeper. Let's not stay on the surface. I already know what you like to eat. Okay, now tell me, do you
I
like
know
to
your
eat?
favorite color.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I know what you like to eat, but do you like to eat? What else do you like to
Hey,
eat? You know, hey,
hey.
you need to have those conversations. So
Mm,
but beyond sex too, you need to have those conversations about what troubles you, what your fears are, what your dreams are. So
mhm.
but also, letting that person see, like this thing says, the weird part of you, and then knowing that that person is okay with the weird part of you. Like me, I
Yeah.
like I like sriracha sauce on everything. that is my that's my choice. And somebody might think that that's weird that I put it on everything. And somebody like, oh my God, that's so crazy. But to find that person who you can reveal who you are, and they
Mm-hmm.
go, you know what? That's cool. I'm okay with that.
Sriracha
I'm okay.
on lemon cake. Okay. 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 Okay.
The,
All
the sour and the spice.
right. So sriracha and mineral water. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. 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 That's cool.
It's like pulling back the veil of, and the mat. Like,
Mm-hmm.
shoot, no pun intended, but pun intended, taking the mask off. Taking the
Right.
mask off that we've been wearing for so long to try to hide who we really are, and being intimate and vulnerable enough to let someone see who we really are so they can accept us. I think Tim Ross said something about that too, about, us always trying to hide who we are to get people to fall in love with that facade,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that they can't stay there. They can't stay there because one day that facade is gonna fade away, and they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
be introduced to the real you. And so it's better to introduce them to the real you in the beginning than try to introduce them to the real you later on. And they're like, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute, I thought you was somebody else, and now you got a whole other problem.
Yeah.
So
What is
yeah.
this in my mineral water? What is this stuff?
I don't go that far now. I don't put sriracha sauce on my desserts or my water, but it goes on pizza, macaroni and cheese. It goes on. It goes
Any savories.
any savory. It goes in now. I will say I have put chipotle powder in chocolate cupcakes for. It's really good. So
Oh.
like the chocolate spice of it. So
Okay.
I think it's actually a Mexican dish. It's like the chocolate and the spice.
Oh yeah, this
But
probably is.
but I digress.
Mexican are really good with the
Yeah,
spices.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's it.
All right, all right, guys. Back up there.
So do you have any final thoughts for us today?
Ooh, man, enjoy the intimacy, enjoy the sex, enjoy the mix. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Enjoy the mix.
Mm-hmm.
I would
Mm-hmm.
say I'm gonna take a note from the late, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. I remember
Mm.
hearing him say, um, that we should be focused on the experience.
Mhm.
You know, we should be focused on experiencing each other. And I think in order to experience each other, we have to be intimate.
Yeah.
We have to be vulnerable. We have to go on a, deep dive and adventure to find out who people really are. And we have to let people find out who we really are. And that way that the experience is authentic and it's not fake. Because no one wants to walk away and say, dang, I thought I signed up for this, but this is what I really got. And so I think it's very important for us to focus on experiencing each other in a way that helps us grow as a couple. Because we want our love to grow. We don't want it to fade. We don't want to get into a spot where we're like, you know what? I don't even love you anymore. And I think when people get into that spot, when people get into the we fell out of love part, I think is they fell out of committing to each other and committing to learning about one another. They fell out of that part and they got lazy, or my word for that is lackadaisical. That's one of my favorite words. And we got lackadaisical and we stopped trying to learn each other. So yeah. So that's my final thoughts. So we thank you so much, you guys, for joining us for another episode of the Way Love Goes podcast. Remember that you can always find us here on Fridays, every Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are not live today, but we are usually live every Friday. You can also check us on Instagram at The Way Love Goes podcast. And also, we're on Facebook, The Way Love Goes podcast. And you can email us, and then and then you can email us at thewaylovegoespod@gmail.com. Don't forget to hit those notification bells so you can find out every time we go live or anytime we drop a video. And don't forget to tell your sister, your mother, to your brother, to your friends, to your enemies, everybody you can think of about the Way Love Goes podcast. Because we really, really want to help people figure out how the Way Love goes.
Yeah, no, we're good. Yes.
Thank you so much, people, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.